we're going to be cleaning this up real soon. So is there anything else that you wanted to talk about for as far as the Reject Demon Toko goes in Chapter 0?
Well, since we have two of the game's kind of trans characters here, I can bring that up. After the game
more
came out,
about the identities of the characters.
We decided, I asked Tao, we should probably work out an actual trans character, and we decided to retroactively make Stephanie trans, and so she is a mostly binary trans woman. And
you mean a femme-presenting trans woman?
Yeah,
or
that works.
I don't know what mostly binary meant in that. Oh, like sticking to a binary. Okay, sorry. Now I'm following.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yep.
So that's it's going to come up a bit more now that we've actually decided that. It's probably not going to be a major thing because I don't think it needs to be. She's just going to be a girl who is trans and is able to deal with that. We don't need to have her have this really big oh, everything is actually awful with me scene because she's trans. Mm-hmm. So we want to avoid that. And then you're just going to have her be cute and be queer and fun things like that. And then we have our other queer character, Baba Yaga, who is, since she's well over 1,000 years old, she has mastered the art of shape-shifting as a magic power. And at this point, she's shifted back between a male and female and all over the spectrum. And she doesn't, in my mind at least, I don't know how canon this will be, she doesn't actually remember her birth gender and doesn't really care to figure it out, because that's just way in the past. So to me, she's functionally, at least within our Western setup of a gender identity, she would be considered gender fluid.
Yeah.
That may not be ideal for someone who's over 1,000 years old and isn't necessarily Western European, but that's the best way I can describe it. So, also,
she's cosmologically gender fluid.
Right.
This thing's been her identity's been baking in the oven for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Also, I would say that all the demons and angels, compared to humans, would probably have they don't have to have genders the way we do. Mm-hmm. Toko doesn't necessarily have to be female or male or whatever. It's just that's kind of how she comes off more. And in my mind, demons don't necessarily have to have a partner of the same sex or opposite sex to reproduce. They can probably reproduce asexually. They just have to take a piece of their soul and give it to their child. I can imagine some gluttony demons might throw their children and stuff like that. And stuff like that. So, but while Toko does have a mother and father, we don't need to tell you what's in their pants. All you know is that Clay has a bulge. You don't know what's causing the bulge. It might be stuffed. It might be something really weird down there. You don't know. It's whatever he feels like he wants. And I think, again, this is partially my personal opinion, not necessarily the group's, but demons, as they eat more souls and grow, their own bodies can change to reflect that. So a demon might not necessarily look like the same person they did a few years ago. And that's just kind of a natural result of how they are. I don't know quite as much about witches. I kind of feel I don't know. They might not reproduce. They might spawn. I have to think about that more. But, I do want witches to be inviting too.
This is really exciting, and it just gives me so many, just tons and tons of questions at the end of this whole thing. I'm really glad that he brought it up now, because an underlying current of the commentary that we've talked about so far is that this idea of bodies and body politics within the concept of demons and angels. But it's your universe. It's your. You can do whatever you want with it, and you should. So, what? I guess the main question that I would ask myself if I were writing this universe or any universe is, what do the bodies that we have say about us, and how can we control our own bodies.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a funny thing because this is supposed to be an all-female cast Yuri, and so you put yourself as the creator of the story. The creator puts themselves in a very specific kind of mold, or at least a guiding mold that guides the rest of the politics of the story. But that does not necessarily mean that guides the bodies.
Right.
That those politics are within. So my big overarching question to you is, what do you want to see out of your characters as they grow within the story? And how does that relate? Like, not how does that relate to you, but like, how does that excite you? How does that interest you?
Well, let's see. How do I want them to grow? I would like everyone to be a stronger, healthier person by the end of the story, in whatever way they may need. I would, for Toko specifically, I definitely think that like she can definitely like learn how to imbalance her desire and her fear of seeking those desires and working with that. And I think that is going to come up because in the upcoming chapters we do have new clothes for Toko. She started wearing something different.
Yay!
And we're going to be playing around with that a bit. And so I'm still thinking about how those clothes will impact the story. And for Nadia, when we talk bodies, we haven't touched on this too much, but like we are trying to deal with her body and her size. She is a pretty heavy set woman, and for the most part that's okay. But like if we talk about like how her body might change and stuff like that, we can get like into some hairy situations, and I understand that. So like I want we have had some issues where people were insulting about Nadia's weight, and that was really awful. Like it was like some of the grossest, definitely the grossest thing I've read about my characters that I've written, and some of the grossest stuff I've read in general.
I want to just to put this in a lighter note, because you're a writer. There was a ClickHole article that came out today that was rhetorically amazing, and the headline of it was, if you've ever read ClickHole, it's The Onion, but for like clickbaiting internet articles.
Right.
So it's all fake. But they have this headline that was amazing, like in big words, amazing. Plus-sized model loses 100 pounds and is just as amazing as she always was already because she's really amazing. And oh no, I have rhetoric, and the whole article goes on to like keep attempting this headline that is obviously like really heavy body politics that don't quite line up right. It's just this amazing article. It's like, well, I want to report on this story. I want to, kind of clickbait this thing. I'm the controller of how I bend words to make this story happen. But gosh, bodies are difficult.
Right.
Bodies are so difficult to write about and to create fiction around or to create work around. And so, no,
we have to, since we all have bodies.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, I don't think anybody. There might be someone out there listening who is being a pure energy. If you are, please contact me. I think there are a lot of people who are wondering how to be like you. But yeah, like we all have bodies, and those bodies interact with the larger world, and it's not always easy to say where my body begins and where it ends, and what parts of it are me and what parts of it are the parts that are actually just the environment around me and stuff like that.
Right. So, let me ground this because I like where you're going with this.
Yeah.
You don't know where your body begins, and then in that process, where does the stories that you write begin?
Where do they begin? Um, they usually begin with a goal that I want to establish. Like I want to like do X in the story, and then I start thinking about what that involves. And usually, what X is tends to shift, especially at the start, as I think more and more about it.
That's very healthy.
So, yeah. So.
All right, here's Baba Yaga's line.
He's fun.
Yep.
Like she's supposed to, like. It's interesting because like comparing like Baba Yaga is supposed to be like this witch version of Ezekiel. But since we actually get to know Baba Yaga, we actually get to see her have a fun side.
Yeah.
So she actually gets like a characterization, while Ezekiel is more of this force of nature.
Yeah, Baba Yaga's a boss.
Yeah, like, I really like her.
Her character
She's
came
definitely
out really well.
She was definitely one of my favorites right for. So yeah, like, and like, sorry, go ahead.
Talking about all the being a creator of fiction and creating your ideas around like the metaphysics of bodies and how they work, it's just exciting. It's very interesting, and I hope that when we see more of Toko that we can get really deep into that, because I think that that's something that's just fun. It's fun to play with and exciting, and it's a place where like if you get it's dangerous to get messy within but there's definitely times when you're a creator of fiction where sometimes getting messy and getting your feet muddy is like a stepping point to something really awesome.
Yeah.
And we have a whole cast of characters that are, at the end of this whole game, very malleable. You kind of set yourself up in a really good place within the fiction of Toko.
Something else I can give you a bit of hints about Chapter 1 is that we're going to look at the metaphysics of the mind and soul a bit more, because we'll have a scene where we can do that in, and that will be a thing that we can connect to with the body. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out just yet. It's going to depend on the group. What I want to do though is like I really like this idea. If you've taken like any kind of class or read anything about neurology, well, sometimes people will make the argument that the brain shouldn't be thought of as a single organ. It should be thought of as a set of organs, since the brain does so many things. And I like the idea of like, basically, at least within the mind and soul, and in the Toko world at least, all these organs are basically their own like part of a soul. So what a demon does is they take a part of that soul, consume it, and that allows the soul to more easily break apart. Like they basically eat the thing that basically gives this, like, change the soul together. And then the soul goes off to limbo, breaks apart into its different parts, and then it kind of like can merge with other parts of souls, and eventually you get a full soul, and that can be reborn into the human world. That's what I want to do, at least, and that not necessarily be how it will work, but that's currently my working system for this.
That's wicked. That's... Dang. Okay, that's cool.